Welcome to the Big Stove, where we discuss the biggest stories in the world of sports. Get ready for passionate, intelligent conversation about the biggest issues and personalities in sports from the fans' perspective. It's unscripted, it's unfiltered, it's the Big Stove. Let's get started with the show.
Okay, James is saying he can't hear us at all. Okay. Try right now? Okay. I mean, I'm still hearing myself fine, but... Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Oh, we're live. There you go, Danny. I appreciate that. Okay.
All right, slight little hiccup.
Let's do it again.
Hey.
Danny probably. Let's be real. Danny didn't watch the fight last night, so let's recap it for everybody. So we got Fight Island. We thought it was going to be on the beach. It wasn't on the beach. It was inside, but what a hell of a card it was.
Oh my God. One of the best cards I've ever seen and that I've ever watched. I mean, I watched it straight from 6 o'clock on till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I mean, it was a good, solid 8 hours of UFC fights. And I mean, I tell you what, even the prelim fights were legitimate. I mean, they were legit fights last night. I mean, you know, usually whenever you have a UFC fight or a fight that is hyped up like Fight Island was, you might have one or two fights that are hyped up,
right?
You know, but they may not all add up to the expectations,
right,
or live up to the expectations.
Like Paige Van Zandt realized last night. I mean, she got tapped out in the first 2 minutes of the fight.
Holy cow.
How hyped was that? And she did not get there.
Wow. She looked, just watching her last night, she looked like she did not want to be there.
No.
I mean, it looked like she was scared from the get-go and just someone that is lost. I mean, it was really, really strange to see. Now, I get having the emotions coming back from, you know, taking a year off or
right,
whatever,
right,
having 3 arm surgeries and everything like that. I get that. And watching her walk out from the tunnel onto the mat and the ring, whatever you may want to call it, she had tears in her eyes. I could see it. I mean, my wife could see it. She was watching. She doesn't watch UFC
but
fights.
Why did she not fight stateside first? Why did she have to go to Fight Line? She's an American fighter. Mm-hmm. Why did you have this have to be your platform to show that you got tapped in a minute and a half? Face down on the mat?
I don't know where she goes from here. I really don't.
I don't know. But so the rest of the card we got. So Holloway, I think we universally agree, got robbed.
I watched that fight, and to me, and just seeing the tweets and everything else that they were displaying throughout the fight, I think everyone else thought that Holloway was winning that fight. And then it came down to the judges, and poof.
You can't leave it up to the judges.
You can't leave it up to the judges. You have to go out there and you have to fight, and you either tap out, you either make that guy tap out, or you knock him out and not leave it up to the judges. You can't leave it up to him in that scenario.
As an NFL player, you can't leave it up to the referee. As a UFC fighter, you can't let it go to the cards.
You can't, no. And that's exactly what he let happen there, and he lost. I mean, I sincerely thought that he won that fight last night, and then hearing the judges score on it, and then hearing the winner announce,
right?
I was truly shocked. I really was. I was like, how in the hell did that happen?
But you left that up to the judges.
You did. Yeah.
What happens in 3 months, 6 months? You have a 1 in the L column. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It was really shocking. It really was. Holloway was one that I thought had won it throughout the whole fight. I thought he had control for most of the fight and landed a little bit more punches here and there, or significant strikes. But, the judges just saw differently, and they went with, what was his name? Oh, I can't even think of his name right now.
But it was a good card. I mean, you had that fight. You had Jose Aldo, which, obviously broke his ribs. Could not continue on at that point. And you got to give him respect for what he's been through over the years. Card after card after card, showing up, giving it his all. What could he do? Dude,
watching him fight last night, I mean, a 33-year-old going up against a 27-year-old Russian, I believe. Right. And everyone was saying that Jose Aldo had lost his step. His kicking game was irrelevant from there on.
I don't know who he's beaten, though. Over the past 3-4 years.
He really hasn't. No, he really hasn't. But watching him fight last night, that first round, and I was giving you the play-by-play later on this morning about it. When he got hurt, when he got hit in the ribs, you could see that air go out of him, and you could see the pain that he was in.
There's no crowd to drown out that volume.
No, not at all. I mean, you could legitimately hear him wince in pain once he got hit in the ribs, and no one knew what was wrong with him or anything else like that. And the round ended, went to his corner, got up slowly. Everyone went back to their corner, came back, and right at the start of the second round, you could see the red area on his right side of his ribs, the swelling and everything. And I looked at my wife and I was like, he's either got a bruised or broken rib right there. I mean, that's what got him hurt.
I just don't know where he goes from here. And I don't know if any of you guys know, but I don't know where he goes from here, because, I mean, the highlight of his career up to this point is McGregor knocking him out with that counter left. That's the highlight to me. If you cite Jose Aldo, that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know where he goes. I mean, he's making money off of his fights. His record is positively in the win column. But I just don't know, beyond getting undercard bouts, I don't know where he's going.
I agree with you. And, like you just said, you don't know where he's going. He's getting the undercards from here on out. He's still a legitimate fighter. But at what level. You know,
Right.
he's definitely not at the level that
He's
was.
a threat to knock you out at any
Yeah,
time, but
sure.
is he top level elite tier? I don't think so.
I don't
anymore.
think so either. And, you know, yes, he has a Hall of Fame career as it stands right now. Totally agree with that. But what are you risking? What are you gaining besides a championship from here on out?
Money.
I mean,
Which brings us to the title fight. I think Usman really showed Masvidal that, I mean, we were looking at this 1 year ago last week. The knee to the face of the white guy from Canada. What was his name?
oh, the
He
fight
retired.
the fight that you
The
and
fight
I
that we watched.
Oh,
The
that
knee
was
to
a
the
year
face
ago
in
from
the
now
first-
with
the
Usman.
first
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Yeah. He was
That-
a wrestler too.
But that put him on the map. That wrestler was undefeated up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Took the knee to the face.
Yep.
Quickest finish in UFC history. Within that year,
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. He was knocked out.
Now Masvidal has become baddest motherfucker on the planet. Right?
Mhm.
You got the belt.
Yep.
You beat Nate Diaz. You have the potential to be the most marketable person if McGregor retires, which it seems like he is.
He is retired officially as of right now.
You
but-
talk all the noise. You go to Super Bowl week. You get into the conflict with Usman outside of the you know, in public. You get into a shoving match with him, and he just bodies you the whole game, the whole match. You were outclassed, beaten. What's the next fight?
To me,
Are you thinking McGregor's coming back?
I think McGregor will come back, but
Money's got to be there.
Money's got to be there, and it's got to be for the right fight. But you hit the nail on the head though with Masvidal getting beaten and however you want to put it up against the cage last night.
Right.
I mean, Usman, he just worked him.
Right.
He literally worked him from periods 2, 3, and 4, and some of 5 last night to where, I mean, he had him up against the cage and he was just stomping on his feet, stomping, then kind
Imposing his will.
then kind of giving him a little knee here and there, and then all of a sudden just throw a shoulder to the face and everything.
Right.
And you know, I mean, was it boring? Yes, it was boring to watch. I thought,
Well, it wasn't
in my
a
opinion,
stand-up knockout.
No.
Like, you know, Poirier the other week, where it was just like, let's just stand and just throw. It wasn't that, but it was efficient.
It was efficient on his end and everything else, and he landed those punches, he landed those strikes, he got the points for all those.
Right.
You know, and then when he did try to take Masvidal to the ground, Masvidal for the most part kind of shot him down until the very end there.
Right.
And then Masvidal, it looked like he got tired towards the end of the fight.
Well, if you look at his record, I mean, I think we were discussing this earlier, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like his record, at least what I looked at earlier, is 35-13 after this loss. He's not Usman, who's 13-1. So I mean, he's got 12 or 13 L's behind him. He's lost, but he became a sensation after that flying knee last year. You know, to elevate his brand, his name to where it is right
Sure.
now. He had a chance to become something last night, but he got grounded.
on 6 days notice too.
He got grounded.
Dropped what, 15, 20 pounds just to make that weight last night in 6 days
Passed
notice.
6 COVID tests.
Sign me up for that weight training class.
Let me get that check.
But
I mean, I wouldn't say he got beat down.
no, definitely,
just lost.
He just lost, you know. But you could see throughout the fight, beside the parts where they were both just throwing haymakers left and right, trying to knock each other out. You could see that Usman was
The better fighter.
the better fighter throughout the whole match.
It was like Mayweather versus Pacquiao, right? I mean, you could just see the better fighter is strategically placing themselves in the best possibility to win, right? I mean, he just put himself in the best possibility. Have we not been recording the whole time?
We have on YouTube, but
Okay,
you know,
that's
not
fine.
yeah,
That's fine.
it's all good.
We appreciate you guys. But, I mean, he just put himself in the best possibility to win. He just, if the best chance that I have is to pin you up against the corner, that's what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
That's just what he did.
That's what.
But
That's
I
what
don't know. And we were talking about this earlier. I think the best, the next fight is, so we have Khabib versus Gaethje, Justin Gaethje, and in September 19th, UFC 253. I think, I don't know who's the next. What's the next fight for Usman? Who's his competitor? What challenge does he have? This was the challenge that you wanted to market, that you wanted to push. McGregor is the money, but I don't think he's coming out.
I don't think he's coming out either, and unless, like what we talked about earlier, it is for the right price. I mean, if there's a legitimate prize winning,
he's got a headline. But also with McGregor, the biggest thing is it's the same thing we were discussing earlier. So you have Cormier, last fight of his career, great UFC analyst.
Yes,
in my opinion,
very much
great
so, yes.
analyst. Last fight, the trilogy fight, the card's going to be garbage because the money is going to Cormier and his opponent, who's Russian and I can't pronounce.
Miocic.
It's as good as I'm going to do.
Something. I mean,
yeah, but that's where the money is going. Junior Dos Santos is fighting some dude. It's going to be a fine fight, but the money is going to them as it should be. It's a trilogy fight.
It's a trilogy fight. It is the fight to determine who is the best heavyweight in UFC,
right?
Or UFC history up to this point,
right? If you have Usman fighting McGregor, I'm demanding top dollar. No one else is fighting on this card with me. Holly Holm isn't fighting. No, nobody is fighting on this card that's going to be stacked like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the problem.
That is the problem because...
But that's Dana White's problem.
But if you had a stacked card, don't you think that... I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, and we can do some research on this later, but wasn't the Pacquiao-McGregor fight, wasn't that around $100 pay-per-view?
It was.
So...
Did you buy it?
I did not, no.
I bought it. James, we watched it together. Danny, we watched it together. It was fucking terrible. The whole card was garbage. It was full of like smaller fighters.
But it was boxing though, wasn't it? It wasn't UFC.
No. It was boxing.
Okay.
But it was very small named. It was not a stacked card because your money is going with your main ticket. It's like if we go back to the McGregor Cowboy card, right, of the beginning of this year, that was the worst UFC card, in my opinion, of the year because all the money went to the main fight.
Correct.
There was no, I mean, it wasn't there was no competition. It's just the level wasn't what you would expect, even to what you saw last night. I mean, you have the women fights, right? You had the prelims. You had a decent card that was worth the price of admission.
Beside the Paige Van Zant fight and Andre, I believe, that very first fight of the night on the pay-per-view card, on the main card, everything else was pretty legit. I mean, everything was going down to the wire. Even Jose Aldo. Yes, he got TKO'd, but it was in the fifth round. It was in the fifth round with like a minute and a half left or whatnot. Right. Now, granted, people can say that the fight should have been stopped a little bit sooner and everything else like that. But every fight besides that first fight was legitimate last night. I mean, everything lived up to the potential or the hype that they were.
What do you have to say, sweetheart? I love you, Daddy. Okay, go on. Okay, well, I think this would be the perfect time for our first break. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yes, thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Break, and we're going to get back and get with another sports-related topic. We appreciate you.
All right, so here's our first break.
Welcome to The Big Stove, where we discuss the biggest stories in the world of sports. Get ready for passionate, intelligent conversation about the biggest issues and personalities in sports from the fans' perspective. It's unscripted, it's unfiltered, it's The Big Stove. Let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome back here to the Big Stove. All right, so we talked about UFC for the first part of the show. Now let's talk about something that happened earlier on in the week, and I know
Let's get a little political.
little political here, and you know we're not going to discuss political views or anything else like that.
Let's talk to Sean Jackson.
But let's talk to Sean Jackson here and his anti-Semitic tweets that he posted earlier on this week about Jewish people.
Right.
So,
as some of you out there might not know in the YouTube universe, so I am Jewish, and so for me, it was interesting to see how this transpired, because you know what's gone on in our country over the past 2 to 3 months. We have, if we take Drew Brees for example, who acknowledged something that he thought about kneeling for the national anthem and everything that is going on with Colin Kaepernick, Black Lives Matter, and everything that's going on that's a wonderful thing in our country. He was ridiculed. So we have Deshaun Jackson that's come out, essentially falsely quoting Hitler.
He was more than ridiculed. I in my opinion, I think he was ridiculed, and then I think he was, in some ways, just put on that podium, and just people were up there,
I still don't think as a free for all. Ask him that question at that time.
Should he have answered?
He was lining up for slaughter at that point.
I agree.
I mean, you had this was like 2 weeks away, or maybe a week and a half away from
George
everything
Floyd.
that happened with George Floyd, to just line up Drew Brees and just ask him what he thought on the national anthem. It's just, I wouldn't say it's not fair to him, because everyone is able to be judged for their opinions and their merits and what may have you. But so we were talking about this earlier. So again, as a Jewish person, looking at Deshaun Jackson. So Deshaun Jackson retweeted, for those of you that do not know, a false quote from Adolf Hitler that he did not say, but was attributed to him.
And do you want me to read that so we can?
Please feel free.
So this is what Deshaun Jackson tweeted the other day. It said, "Because the white Jews knows that the Negroes are the real children of Israel, and to keep America's secret, the Jews will blackmail America. They will extort America. Their plan for the world domination won't work if the Negroes know who they were. The white citizens of America will be terrified to know that all this time they've been mistreating and discriminating and lynching the children of Israel." End of tweet.
Right. So first off, false quote, not an accurate quote.
Not an accurate quote. No.
Not too far-fetched, obviously, to Adolf Hitler and what his intentions were. And if you are any sane individual that has no racist intentions at heart, you're not quoting Hitler to any extension
by any means. Right. No.
So he retweets it, sends it out there, and in an intention for him to promote unity, gets obviously slandered and to where we are now. So we've had this conversation this week, me and Josh, and since then he's been fined.
It's been fined.
But initially, I expressed my disdain for the fact that if I'm comparing him to Drew Brees was ridiculed. The moment he said that, Michael Thomas, the wide receiver that has the most, I believe, set a record this past year for the amount of
catches
in a year. Outstanding wide receiver.
Very much so.
But all of these folks that are saying, look, if you're throwing me the ball, you need to understand the racial implications of that of which is going on. Appreciate you, Talia. And so for him to feel that way. So for Deshaun Jackson, I mean, I think for him, it's changed a lot in the past 48 hours. From where we had this original conversation, now Julian Edelman has come out. Julian Edelman has said, you have an invitation to me for you to go with me to the Holocaust Museum in D.C.
Yes.
Let's go. You now have a Holocaust survivor that said, come to Auschwitz with me. And I think some of that is a little far-fetched, being a Jewish person. I don't think it comes from a bad place. I think it comes from an ill-informed place. I think it comes from a place of thinking that, Jewish people are out there to control you and not in any way negatively, that he just is trying to. And what he said, I saw on ESPN First Take, he said, I'm trying to unite black people in let us come together the same way that Jewish people do. I just think it was just not the right way to go about things. I don't think Deshaun Jackson has hate in his heart.
No, I
just
agree.
think you can click a retweet button and not realize what you're doing.
What the hell you're saying, or what the hell you're
Right.
retweeting, or anything else like that. I totally agree with you. But you started to allude to it, and we had talked earlier in the week about it, to where we thought, or maybe more so I thought, that there was a double standard.
Right.
To where, you brought up Drew Brees, the comments that he made about the national anthem, and that he said that, his grandfather, his great grandfather and everything, they served this country. He was
Right.
going to stand for the national anthem, when that time came.
Right.
He got ridiculed for it.
Right.
I mean, absolutely ridiculed for it by his teammates, by other members of the NFL, and then by other athletes throughout the sports industry.
Right.
And then you have Deshaun Jackson making these comments, or
Wildly offensive.
so much more offensive, in my opinion,
Right.
than just saying that I'm going to stand for the national anthem.
Well, and I think it's right for people that are supportive of Black Lives Matter to be upset at Deshaun and saying, look, we're trying to institute change for all of us, but you cannot pick and choose the racism that you're propagating. And we talked about this earlier. And so if you're telling me that it's okay to feel prejudice against myself, but then it's, then I can go and prejudice myself against someone else. That's not, you can't do that. That's hypocritical,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But so initially the tweets came out, everything was like, desert silence for, I don't know if that's working, for like at least 12 to 24 hours. After that point, now you have Julian Edelman that has come out, who Julian Edelman, generic Jewish last name, did not grow up identifying as Jewish, has now identified as Jewish, had a good conversation with Deshaun. Deshaun has repeatedly apologized. I think it's, in my opinion, as a Jewish person, it's a wonderful moment to educate and learn, I think, for people to understand where everyone is coming from. And I think for Deshaun, he overstepped in a situation that he didn't understand he was overstepping in. The owner, the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles are both Jewish.
Mm-hmm. Which
they brought him back from Washington after who was Chip Kelly had instituted this offense in which they didn't want him to be part of. They brought him back, and I don't think he harbors ill will. I just think he's ill-informed in the content in which he promoted, which is 2020.
Which he has since came out and said that, he was ill-advised. He retweeted something that, he was misinformed on, or didn't
Right.
know what he retweeted or anything
Right.
else like that, or the meaning behind it. He was saying that, what I retweeted, from my perspective, it looked, like it was something that was supposed to bring people together and everything else like that.
Right. I mean, it's essentially the impression that I've gotten is that what he was looking at is saying, look, if you look at the Jewish people throughout history, they've tried to unite as a people have their own banks, have their own, their own businesses and their own. Hey, till. Thank you.
We have 20 minutes till food is ready, so
Those of you that smoke food know that time is of the essence. So, anyways, so you have where was I going with that? Deshaun Jackson to me is someone who is ill-informed in conspiracy theories. I mean, if I'm talking to you and I'm propagating something that can make sense, it can check all the boxes, you might not be, no disrespect, educated enough to know that it's not accurate.
Mhm.
I mean, you could easily look at, a Facebook link that says George Soros is responsible for XYZ, which is why Jews are responsible for Jeffrey Epstein and everything that is corresponding to that. And you can make an educated decision and trace the path. That's not right.
Yeah.
And I think he just retweeted. And I mean, I think he's an excellent wide receiver. I think, in my opinion, from where he's come from, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's from Long Beach in an area where he came from Long Beach to UC Berkeley to a highly educated area to go to the Philadelphia Eagles to become a great wide receiver.
Yes, great wide receiver.
But you fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You retweeted something that you shouldn't retweet.
Yep.
And now the Philadelphia Eagles have fined him over the weekend.
That's about the extent of everything that has happened to Deshaun Jackson, as opposed to Drew Brees when he made those comments, which were far less offensive, in my opinion. But there lies the double standard that we were talking about, or that I perceived as a double standard. When Deshaun Jackson made those comments, not everyone was raising their fingers or raising their voices about anything until a day later, or
and everyone wanted to give him a pass and saying he was ill-informed. Where Drew Brees was said, you would not be where you were without your black brothers and sisters, which is true. But it's still, it was too triggered. It was too close to everything of what's going on. And Drew Brees has done an amazing job. For the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana.
Especially with what happened after Katrina and everything. I mean, him and his family, his foundation, how many of thousands, if not millions of dollars have they donated to that city, and then he gets ridiculed for a statement that he just says that he is going to stand for the national anthem because of what he believes in. And what he believes in was his grandfather and his great grandfather, serving this country and, what it stands for. So
it will be a topic of conversation this off season. And we've talked about this until September 13th, when we have that first game. We have that first taste of live sports. And until we have that, it's going to continue to be little ticky-tack things like this. I think Deshaun Jackson's a great person. I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I don't think he's a neo-Nazi. I don't think he's anything that might be, improperly associated with him. I just think he's someone that was ill-informed, trying to unite people in a way that he saw fit. And it was just improperly tweeting somebody. So we're going to take a break here, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk more sports. We're going to talk more football, more baseball. For any of you guys that happen to be in our YouTube live stream, please feel free to message us. We have Bluetooth capability for you to call in. Happy to take your comments. And the Big Stove, we're here to stay.
We're here to stay. First episode. We will be going live more often in the near future, but this is just a intro podcast. Just want to get everyone's feedback. But like OJ said, we are here to stay. So we will go to a little break here, and then we'll come back and talk more sports here.
Welcome to the Big Stove, where we discuss the biggest stories in the world of sports. Get ready for passionate, intelligent conversation about the biggest issues and personalities in sports from the fans' perspective. It's unscripted, it's unfiltered, it's the Big Stove. Let's get started with the show.
Welcome back to the Big Stove.
The Hastings Hammer is here. Y'all that are listening, you know. All right, so I think we're going to switch topics now to college. For those of you that are, college fans and looking to what is going to happen this summer and this fall.
I cannot wait for college football. Cannot wait.
Do you
OJ.
think it's going to happen? You think it's going to happen?
Shit.
I don't think it's going to happen. We were talking about this earlier. So let's say we have the Big Ten, the Pac-12, conference only, right?
Conference only.
We're coming to you live from South Carolina, the land of the SEC. So if you have conference only, what happens to the championship? If you're Oregon, if you are Alabama, if you are, Ohio State, if you're only playing conference, are you getting ranked? Are we doing this? Are we having a championship game?
I think rankings. I think you will have a championship game, but I think the rankings will be skewed.
If you're Boise State, who are you playing?
You're not playing anyone.
Are you going to the dance? No.
If you're Notre Dame, who are you playing?
Right?
You're not playing
anybody.
anyone.
Are you playing Army, Navy? Is Navy fielding a team?
I think is Navy an independent? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What about Army?
Yes, both independent.
Who else is in that league?
So you have Army, you have Navy, you have
You have UMass.
UMass, you have Connecticut. You have another team that I can't remember that doesn't really matter.
It doesn't
Sorry.
matter because there's only like 7 teams.
Right, but-
so you're not going to play each other like
Notre Dame's not playing University of Southern California.
Since
They're
like
not
1946?
ending the rivalry. Who are you playing?
I agree. How are you grading if you're not playing these out of conference games? Because you had what was it? Notre Dame and the Navy that were supposed to play that first week.
Dublin.
They were supposed to play in Dublin.
Let's go.
No, not playing anymore. Big game.
Michigan, Ohio State. No, it's not happening.
Why not? That's conference.
No, it isn't. Is it?
They're same conference.
Are they?
Michigan, Ohio State.
Oh.
But
I'm just saying, there's a lot. So South Carolina, Clemson,
South Carolina, Clemson's not happening.
ACC, SEC, not happening. I just
not happening. Definitely not happening.
Some
of your big games.
What is the difference?
I mean,
if you're Notre Dame or you're Ohio State, what is the difference?
The difference is Notre Dame doesn't have a conference, basically, that has good enough teams.
They still have the same exposure to the disease.
Oh, now we're talking about the disease. I thought we were talking about teams we're playing to get ranked.
I'm just saying that I don't understand the difference of the restrictions.
Restrictions are going to be this. Restrictions, I think, are going to be the same regardless of where you go, unless you're traveling to a state that has mandated, if you're coming from a certain state, that you quarantine for a certain amount of time.
But that restriction can change.
It can, yes. Yes, totally agree.
So right now, if you're coming from South Carolina, you're going to play a university in New York, New England, hypothetically, right?
You're quarantining yourself.
Can't play.
You can't play.
But if that changes, if Iowa restricts to quarantine, if you're the Minnesota Gophers or the Gophers, you're not playing. You cannot come into the state without quarantining.
Mm-hmm.
Does that not play into the? I don't know. It's just so difficult.
It's so difficult. But
even still, for you, those of our listeners out there, if you're a player, are you playing?
So you and I kind of addressed this question the other night, just between ourselves. So let's say, you have you have the Pac-12, you have the Big Ten that have already said they're playing conference-only games. But you've kind of heard in the back of other people's minds and everything else
Right.
that there's a potential for football to be in the spring. So let's play that card. If college football is played in the spring,
XFL.
and
That's where we're going. Okay.
and you are a junior,
No.
and you are a junior, and you are a top legitimate first round pick,
I'm not playing.
possibly second round pick, Trevor Lawrence, prime example
I'm
right
not
now.
playing.
You're not playing?
No. No way. Why would you risk it? You're telling me that if you are a top 10 to 15 pick, Todd McShay comes out, ranks you top 5 to 10 at your position. Why am I risking that in the spring?
In the spring when you have
For nothing?
let's say
For nothing for the COVID Cup?
no.
I'm good.
You take out insurance?
I'm just not
You're just not playing?
I'm just not playing.
So-
I'm going to Jadeveon Clowney that shit, and I'm going to take a lot of money, and I'm going to make sure my health is intact. I'm not playing.
Get ready
What-
and get ready for the draft.
Yeah, what do I have? What am I going to gain by playing?
Other than
Nothing.
other than a national championship? Nothing.
Who cares? at
You're
that
not
point?
getting paid for it. I mean, NCAA's getting paid for it, but you're not.
Is your school looking out for you? No. Are they paying you? No. Am I graduating and getting a degree? No. Let me get mine. No, I'm holding out. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm not playing.
Not playing.
Sunshine, I'm going for the number 1 pick. I'm taking that money.
Going to the Browns?
No, Baker's gonna stay. I don't know who's gonna be the floor this year. I wonder. Jacksonville?
Raiders. No, they got
Raiders?
Minshew.
Mustache Magic? You think so?
Mustache Minshew, baby.
You
I mean,
think so?
Yeah.
I think Fournette walks this year. I think they're a dumpster fire. I could see Gruden going Trevor Lawrence. I could see that.
Yeah.
Derek Carr walking, going to.
And I like Derek Carr.
Yeah, I could see him playing for the. No, I don't even know. Vikings.
Chargers.
I could see it.
Even after they drafted the quarterback first round.
Oh, they did. Who did they get again?
I don't know, but I know they got rid of Rivers. Rivers went to the Colts.
Rivers went to the Colts,
So,
which is a stopgap. If I'm Jacoby Brissett, I'm not happy.
No. But the Chargers.
T.Y. Hilton's going to give you 9 out of 16 games. They got Devin Funchess. They got the kid out of USC. I can't remember his name, but he's a wide receiver and he's good.
He's fast.
They got a running back, plus they got Marlon Mack. I think the Colts are legit. Their defense, their O-line is good. We were talking about this the other day, switching topics, going, laterally to the NFL. So who do you have? Saints, Bucks, Falcons.
We're going back.
We're
to
going
that.
back. We're bringing it back.
We're bringing it back. Bringing it on back. Okay. So you have the Saints. You have the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Jaguars.
Saints,
You have
Falcons,
the
Bucks,
Panthers. Top 5.
Teddy Bridgewater, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees. Let's go. I think it's Breeze,
Brady.
Saints,
Brady with the Bucks.
Matt Ryan, Falcons,
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Bridgewater, the Panthers. Bring it up the rear. But I think C-Mac still is in the MVP voting if he doesn't get hurt.
You still have him up there?
Who are you using besides him? You got DJ Moore. You have no Greg Olson.
You don't have it. Now,
Who's your
No.
offense?
you don't have, your offense, they got in free agency. Your defense, they got via the draft. I think, was it all 7?
All 7.
All 7
They
picks
got a
were
new
defense.
offensive coach from Temple, but
No, Baylor.
Baylor. But
Baylor.
he was Baylor. Before that, he was Temple.
Yes.
But Your whole draft was defensive oriented. That's it. Maybe it's scheme. I still think, though, I will side with Skip Bayless in the way that he viewed the comparison between Zeke Elliott and Christian McCaffrey. He said Zeke will give you, as a Cowboys fan, I'm sure you can appreciate this, 4 yards, 6 yards, 1 yard, 2 yard, 4 yards, 8 yards, 12 yards.
Hey, Skip hates my Cowboys, by the way.
That's fine.
So is Stephen A. Smith.
But we don't need to get to that. C-Mac's going to give you 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard, 1 yard, 4 yard, 80 yard. So you got 6 carries for 95 yards, right? And so the end statistic looks fantastic, but is he really getting you to where you need to go? He needs the home run. But I think he gets it still.
Yeah. You might be right. So not to...
But it's garbage time. He doesn't actually win you games, in my opinion.
No. That's why they play the game. But so not to deter from the topic here, just got a tweet, and one of our listeners, they were listening to our conversation about Sunshine there at Clemson, and he just brought up an interesting point that I don't think we had thought of until now. Detroit Lions.
Matthew Stafford
sold his house.
Gone.
Well,
his wife has brain cancer. They pack it up. I could see it. I mean, you have Marvin Jones, wide receiver. You have Galladay, wide receiver. Mm-hmm. You have Eric Ebron. I still think he's there, tight end.
He's
stud.
Decent. Yes,
for the money, stud. Who's your running back?
You don't
check this out.
You don't have. I don't think you have a running back. I don't think you have a running back.
Let's look at it.
You haven't had a running back since Barry Sanders.
Agreed. Let's look and see who the running back is for the Detroit Lions. I mean, I know it wasn't Keyshawn. It was Carry On.
Carry On.
Johnson. Maurice Morris?
No running back. Again, no running back.
Who did they draft this year? Let's see. Detroit Lions draft. Let's see who they got. I like your coach. I like Matt Patricia. I feel like he's.
I do like Matt Patricia.
So we got.
He's got he's got the beard going on.
Hold on. Oh, so we got Jeff Okudah, cornerback for the Ohio State Buccaneers. The
Buckeyes.
The Buckeyes.
Buckeyes.
So great pick with, I think that was the 3rd or 4th pick.
Okay.
You have DeAndre Swift, running back for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay.
That is who you have right now. Okay. So
that was a great pick by them then.
Great pick. Then they went heavy O-line. You got 4 out of the next 5 picks.
So they are building. So they're building for a running game. They're following in the footsteps of the Dallas Cowboys.
Right. Grade-wise, they got an F for the draft. But that doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean anything.
They went heavy O-line here. And they got some wide receivers. Jason Huntley from New Mexico State. I don't know enough about him to say that. But to Detroit's credit, Kenny Galladay wasn't highly touted.
No.
He was nobody, and he's a stud. I think Matthew Stafford...
I think he's gone after this year. I really do.
You think so?
I really do.
You think he's the new Jay Cutler?
No, because Matthew Stafford's more likable.
He's a nice guy. I never liked stats. He doesn't...
I never liked...
He doesn't get a win. You had Calvin Johnson.
That wasn't...
You went 0-17.
That wasn't your quarterback's fault, though.
He was the quarterback that fielded an 0-17 team.
I totally agree with you, but at the same time, you got to put other people on the field that can play, and that's upper management.
Yeah.
That's not Stafford's or Calvin Johnson's fault.
I just feel like with the Detroit Lions, the problem lies above. You have Calvin Johnson retired early. Barry Sanders retired early.
Great player. Great.
didn't want to play for the team anymore. The Ford family, I don't pretend to know, but I feel like there's something with that. That's just my personal opinion. So Stafford, I could see that. I could see Sunshine going there.
But here,
I don't know if they can part with Stafford's contract though.
Here's my take on the Stafford Jay Cutler thing. I think when Jay Cutler was either a free agent or released by the Bears,
Right. The Bears.
You didn't have anyone looking at him to sign him. No one signed him.
No.
No one signed him until Matt Gase went down to Miami
Yes.
and became the coach.
Yes.
And then they signed him for a 1-year deal.
Did he not in a playoff game bitch out because of a pinky finger? Was that not the whole thing?
Yes.
Yes.
That
I don't want you.
Matthew Stafford, though, likable by his teammates,
Right.
plays through injuries. Now, granted,
But he's always playing from behind, is he not?
He is. Well, spruce up your defense.
Right. It's him, the running backs. For those of you that play fantasy, who do you have? Theo Riddick, catching running back, because they're not running the ball.
They're not.
They're too far behind.
They're not running it. They're always slinging it. That's why you either pick Stafford or his wide receivers for fantasy.
Exactly.
I mean, because they're going to get some points.
Right.
So, it's interesting point.
They could be 2-14 if we played ball this year. I could see that.
And then you have Sunshine going to Detroit City.
I don't know. I don't know where Stafford would go, though. We're interesting place. Hear me out. Green Bay.
Wow.
Aaron goes
to
Chicago.
Bold statement.
Aaron goes to Chicago. Matt goes to Green Bay. I could see it.
Where's Aaron Love going?
Nowhere, man. That's a pick that's going to be ridiculed. I think. I don't think he's got the arm to be up there. To who? Devontae Adams?
Wow, you're really saying Matthew Stafford
To the Packers.
Wow.
I'm going.
I
could see it.
Wow.
I could see it.
Holy.
Let me know your thoughts on this. But I could see this because Aaron Rodgers.
You've been drinking a little too much today.
No, I could see it. I can see it. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has more than 1, maybe 2 years in Green Bay.
He's signed through 4, though. Green Bay, he is signed through 4 more years with Green Bay.
He went first round, Jordan Love. For 5 years. You think they're sticking that out? I can't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. My wife's a Packers fan, so I believe that he will kill it this year. If there's football, Aaron Rodgers is going to be amazing this year.
Aaron Rodgers is going to kill it this year. He's got that chip on his shoulder for drafting a quarterback.
Right.
He is going to go out there.
You've given him
and
no
he
help,
is going to perform. Now what's
from here?
Now whether or not the Packers retain him or they trade him, that's a different story. But if the Packers trade him and he performs well, that asking price is...
But what is asking price? Is it, Aaron Rodgers, Khalil Mack in a second?
All depends on how well he performs this year. If there is a season.
Right.
That's a big question right there.
Right. It will remain to be told. We're going to take another break here, come back to you with some baseball talk. Tweet us, comment on the YouTube stream. Appreciate you with the big stove, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome to the Big Stove, where we discuss the biggest stories in the world of sports. Get ready for passionate, intelligent conversation about the biggest issues and personalities in sports from the fans' perspective. It's unscripted, it's unfiltered, it's the Big Stove. Let's get started with the show. Here it is, the quote of the day.
Sports quote of the day brought to you by the Big Stove and the PocketPairClub.com. Stubbornness usually is considered a negative, but I think that trait has been a positive for me. Cal Ripken Jr. Again, that is the sports quote of the day brought to you by the PocketPairClub.com.
Let us take that into a conversation about baseball right now. So those of you getting ready for some baseball, I mean, we just had today another baseball player announce that he's opting out for the season. I mean, right now this year we have the following players opted out. We have Ryan Zimmerman, first baseman for the Washington Nationals. We have Ian Desmond, outfielder for the Rockies. David Price for the Dodgers. We have King Felix for the Braves. Nick Markakis.
He plays for the Braves now?
He does.
Oh, wow.
He does.
Wow.
He does. We have Buster Posey. Had a new baby with the Giants.
I saw that. No, him and his wife just adopted, I think, not one, but adopted twins.
Twins.
Yes.
Michael Kopech, the White Sox pitcher. So I think it creates a spin. Correct me if I'm wrong on the Mookie Betts trade. The Mookie Betts trade is inclusive of David Price, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have Price, Betts, and Cash
going to the Dodgers
from the Sox. But how much of that do you really get from this season? I mean, that's potentially what was looked at as a colossal fail for the Red Sox as a win.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a season here.
If you don't have a season, I mean.
Mookie Betts is getting paid for a fraction of his work. Price is already declared out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to unload. Is that really a bad deal, Sox fans? I don't know.
To me,
I mean, it's
why not? It's
a
a great deal in my book. If I'm a Sox fan and I'm unloading and no one's playing,
exhausted the ability for them to re-sign Mookie. I think he wasn't coming back.
He wasn't coming back. He wanted
at this point, get what
top
you can.
dollar.
Right.
Yeah. He wasn't coming back. Price, there were issues with Price.
When his price showed up in the postseason ever. Crickets, that's all I hear. I think he's a great pitcher, but I don't think he showed up in the postseason ever.
No.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong with stats.
He might have had one decent game, but
he's
other
not Clayton Kershaw. But
I mean, how many pennants and World Series has Dodgers won with Clayton Kershaw?
You can play that cricket sound again because Goodness gracious! I mean,
they're at the
he's
top.
the James Harden of
they are at the top of the list and the talk of the list every single year in, year out.
right.
But yet, whenever it comes time for postseason play,
Nothing.
Kershaw never shows up.
No.
Price never shows up.
Kershaw's record though is going to be of legend
Yes,
for
totally agree.
regular
Yes,
season,
regular season
to postseason.
Yes.
He's got the yips at this point. I don't think I think he is freaking himself out. Maybe you guys are, see something different, but I think he does not have what it takes in the postseason. But at this point, you've got 60 games, right? That's what we have right now.
You have 60 games as it stands right now.
Is there interleague play?
No. Well, there's a twist on that. Yes and no.
For PR reasons, are the Mets and the Yankees playing? Probably.
Yes, they will.
Yeah. Subway Series.
Yeah, Subway Series. It's so as it stands right now for Major League Baseball, they are doing NL Central, AL Central, AL East, NL East, AL West, NL West. All those teams will be playing against each other in some form of a Major League Baseball schedule.
How many days off are we having in between games?
So
Two?
being a Cubs fan,
right,
and looking at the Cubs schedule for this year, it looked like there may have been maybe five days off for 60 games. 5 days off for 60 games, I think. And that's starting now. Major League Baseball season is supposed to start July 23rd with the Nationals and Yankees playing.
Right.
And then July 24th, everyone else is supposed to come on. And just from looking at the schedules of a lot of the teams, it looks like...
Are the Cubs and White Sox playing? We're doing that too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we're doing that too. Cubs Cardinals, you got to keep that rivalry going.
Right.
So they will be playing. But it looks like during the week, most of the games, if not all of the games, are at night. So sometime after...
No day games, no matinees.
No day games during the week.
Okay.
Weekends, day games, unless it is Sunday night baseball. So, you got that going for you. But staying on that topic, though, and, I have a Cubs group chat that goes on throughout the season or throughout the year. Just anything Cubs related or baseball related or even anything Nebraska related. Since I'm from Nebraska, a big Husker fan. But it was brought to our attention that since there will be no fans inside the stadium at Wrigley, right across the street, they have what is called the Wrigleyville rooftops. And so they do have seating above on the rooftops of those buildings.
What can you see there?
You can see the game.
You really?
Oh yeah. Trust it's a sight. It's an experience to have. Trust me. I've been there. I've done that. I've experienced it. Love it. But what they're charging now for it?
Astronomical.
Supply and demand, baby. Supply and demand. They're anywhere from $350 on up for a game per person.
Because you'd be the only person that can see it.
Yeah. You're
There's no fan interference this year.
Definitely not. I mean, no. And I even saw that some of the teams were actually taking some seats out of the first couple rows behind the dugout and extending their dugout into those first couple of rows.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you can.
Because they're trying to maintain that safe social distancing throughout the dugout, that they are now including those first couple of rows of the stadium, since there will be no fans in the stands.
It will be an interesting July, I think, for all of us. I mean, we have at this point, going back to the beginning of the show here, we have a couple of UFC fight nights. We have the bubble, the NBA bubble. We have the beginning of the first MLB game. We have spring training camp. I think it's going to be loaded up. And here at the Big Stove, we're ready for it.
We are ready. We are ready. We are locked and loaded.
We are
ready to dive right into sports because, let's face it, we have been without sports since the middle of March,
Right.
when
March
the-
Madness
March
closed.
March Madness
Spring
was
training
starting.
closed.
Oh man, like
The NFL draft was our world.
that has been basically about the only thing that has gone on aside from
Some free agency.
some free agency stuff, but
There's no Olympics. There's nothing.
no Olympics. You had the Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson golf
match.
match part 2, where you added Peyton Manning and Tom Brady,
Right.
which to me
It was disappointing. I lost a bet to your wife.
You did, but hey, I was up $50, or my wife was up. I didn't see any inkling of that whatsoever. But that part of the sports world was better than the first part of the match between Tiger and Phil Mickelson from a couple years ago. And now you're starting to see some sports start to evolve a little bit more.
Right.
I think you have UFC obviously has been going at it since
Right.
April.
You have boxing consistently.
You have boxing, you have UFC, you've had golf, and
Cornhole.
Cornhole's been
Consistent.
I think I'm a master at it right now just from watching it.
Watching.
But-
It'll be interesting. This week will be very telling. If nothing else shuts down, we're in for a fun fall.
I
But if this
really
month
hope so, yes.
things shut down, it'll be tough.
It'll definitely be a gloomy
Yeah.
fall.
But we will be here with
We
you.
will be here with you through and through, sports or not. We will be here because there will be sports to talk about with or without sports. So thank you guys for tuning in today on the intro podcast, episode 1 of
Happy
the Big
Sunday,
Stove.
everybody.
Happy Sunday Fun Day. And hey, be sure to go to our Facebook page, The Big Stove, and give us a like, give us a follow, and go to YouTube and follow us, subscribe, comment, leave your comments, whatever. And stay tuned. We will be going live more often, starting as of right now, August 10th will be our go-to live date that we will be podcasting day in and day out. So like us, subscribe to us, and hey, you never know, there may be some free merch that comes your way. Thank you guys. Swag, baby.
Have a great week. Have a great Sunday, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Sunday Fun Day. Have a good one.
All right.
Thanks for listening to The Big Stove. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. For all the latest, follow us on social media on Twitter @The Big Stove.